Hi guys, I have been getting a ton of questions about how to maximize this quarantine time and get your writing done. And I think that these are great questions because unfortunately, a lot of people are using this time for things that aren't going to help them in the long run. I'm a firm believer that we should be maximizing downtime so that in the long run, your future self is thanking you for a choice that you made today. Now, the routine and the plan that I'm going to share with you today can work far beyond the quarantine time. Maybe you're on a plane and you're thinking of some time that you have to work on writing. Maybe it's that like you're on summer break and you're an educator. Whatever it may be, when you find yourself with extra time, the best thing you can do is maximize it. And if you're ready to write a book, that's the best time to do so. So let's talk about what you can put in place for you to be successful during this time. The first step that you need to take is to identify your day-to-day habits. So I'm going to challenge you to spend probably the next 24 hours or so and watch your habits. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? What are you doing if you find yourself in the middle of cooking? What do you do if you're bored? How are you typically spending your day? The reality is we're creatures of habit. So when we are in the routine of doing certain things, it's easy to repeat it, especially now. If you really enjoy sitting up and watching Netflix and eating chips and drinking wine, you're going to do a lot of watching Netflix, eating chips, and drinking wine during the social isolation time. And so it's important that you take time to reflect on your habits. So get out a journal and take some time to journal what you are doing and how you're spending your day typically. Now, after 24 hours and you're able to reflect on these habits and how you're spending your day, I challenge you to determine, and you can write a column of, good and bad, identify where your habits fall. Do you have really healthy habits? Do you have really negative habits? We all have some really good habits and we all have some really bad habits. But if you're like most people and you're being honest, majority of your habits are probably not healthy habits. Here's where things have to really shift and where you're really going to have to put in work. Once you identify those bad habits, I want you to identify a plan to defeat those bad habits. So for example, if your habit that is not a good one is waking up and checking your phone right away, maybe it's that you put your phone across the room, so the first thing that you're doing is you're praying. If your bad habit is that every time you're bored, you check your phone, maybe you just turn your phone on do not disturb so that you're not tempted to get text messages or phone calls and be distracted by that. And you'll have more time to focus on your writing. Maybe your bad habit is the TV, sitting up and watching Hulu or Netflix or playing a game. How about removing the remotes so that it takes work to actually go get them? And then it gives you an opportunity to think on what you should be doing. Whatever your bad habit is, I suggest that you identify a plan to defeat that bad habit and replace it with something healthier. So instead of just hiding your remotes and saying, all right, I'm not going to watch Netflix or Hulu, I am going to put my computer where my remotes typically are. So every time I go to pick up my remotes, now I have my computer and I remember that I need to be working on writing. Maybe instead of keeping your phone on your nightstand so that you're tempted to check it first thing in the morning, you're keeping your Bible or another book that you're reading there. So it reminds you that you need to set your day off on the right step. When you identify the bad habits and what you'd like to do to replace those bad habits, I want you to create a plan for your day. Here is the biggest step of all. We have to have a routine. And when things like this happen, whether it's a crisis or for some other reason your schedule's kind of thrown off, it's easy to do what's comfortable. It's easy to do what's familiar. It's easy to do what's fun. I challenge you to instead create a routine that you can commit to. Now, here's the thing with a routine. I am not going to sit here and tell you that you need to have a routine that you need to be writing all day, you need to be reading all day, you need to be researching all day. I'm realistic that we're all human and we all have other needs and things that we desire to do. We got to eat, we got to move our body, we got to do a lot of other things. Maybe you're taking care of kids. So what I am going to ask you to commit to is a daily power hour. So typically a power hour is where you dedicate a super hyper focused hour to your goal. This is something that I do with my one-on-one clients. if you'd like to take it a step further, because most of us have a little bit more time at this point in our life, I challenge you to do 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours. And if you do more than 1 hour, it doesn't need to be in one sitting. You can do an hour in the morning and then an hour in the evening. But I challenge you to commit to that and make no excuses. Make it non-negotiable. The same way that we would commit to going to a business function or work or a doctor's appointment. We don't give up on those goals and we don't throw in the towel with those all willy-nilly. So we have to be committed to our book writing goal in the same way. So you identify these habits, break down which habits are healthy and which ones are unhealthy, replace the negative habits with the good habits, the healthy habits, and I want you to create a routine. This is going to be so important. Some ideas and examples of what kind of things are on my routine is I wake up and I pray. Then I do my affirmations. Then I identify things that I'm grateful for. I eat. I move my body. So I typically work out somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on the day. And then I write. Then I take a break from writing. I'll cook lunch. Then after lunch, I'll rest for a little bit. And then after I rest, I do a couple client calls. I do some social media posting and engagement. And then I write again. So if you notice, I'm finding time to write multiple times in my day. But then I also find time to do dinner with the family. We do a family game or a family movie. And then I always end my day with an episode of The Office because The Office just makes my heart smile. So if you notice in there, I'm taking care of every part of me, right? I'm praying, so I'm taking care of my mental health. Gratitude and affirmations are also mental health. I'm moving my body, so that's my physical health. My emotional health is I'm making sure to watch The Office because that makes me feel good. It makes me laugh. It gives me a reason to smile even when things seem chaotic or crazy. And so you want to find a way and a routine that you can incorporate that is going to include all of those parts. Because if you're so gung-ho about writing, then you're going to miss the mark. You're going to burn out and you're going to quickly throw in the towel. If you're so gung-ho about, just resting and not doing anything, then you're also going to miss the mark about being able to maximize this time and get your book written. So I need you to identify a routine that works for you. Maybe you're still working from home during this time. And so you're spending 8 hours working. Well, you no longer have the travel time that you once had. So you can use that same level of travel time and commit that to your book writing time. We have to get creative and understand that we need to maximize our time because at the end of the day, when this time is up, you're going to look back and you're either going to say, I'm really grateful that I dedicated this amount of time to my goal and this is what I have to show from it, or I'm really frustrated that I wasted my time and I have nothing to show from it. Which person do you want to be? Now, after creating a routine, I challenge you to find an accountability partner. So the accountability partner can be somebody in your house, like your spouse or a friend or even your kid. Your accountability partner can just be a friend that you can call once a week and check in on. I think back to my very first journey of writing my book, and my mom was my accountability partner without me even knowing it. I told her that I wanted to write a book, and I'll never forget that one day I called her and I'm like, hey, I'm bored. What are you doing? She's like, bored? Girl, you better get to working on that book. And it made me instantly snap back into shape. Like, you know what? I need to get writing my book. Same thing with my daughters. If I tell my daughters I'm working on something, they're like, hey, Mom, how's that going? And they'll continue to motivate and encourage me to keep working towards my goal. And so it's important during this time that you're having social connection, even if it's not in person or hugging or touching hands or seeing somebody. It's important to have that social connection by FaceTime, by social media, by text, by phone calls, things like that. So why not add an extra layer to that and just have that person hold you accountable? It can be as simple as sending you a text message and saying, hey, how's that book coming along? Hey, where are you stuck? Hey, how are you doing with it? Are you staying motivated? Are you discouraged? What do you need from me? That sort of thing. Having that extra accountability, one, reminds you that your goal is important and that it matters. Two, it keeps you motivated to continue to work on that goal consistently. So finally, the last step is to begin writing. Now, many of us struggle here because we want to be a perfect writer. We want everything to be easy. We want everything to make sense. We want it to be fun. We want it to just come easy. But here's the reality. If you've never written a book, this is a little bit challenging. but it's not impossible. Just like when we turn the faucet on and the water flows, if you turn your brain on and just start letting some of it go, it may not make sense in the beginning, but eventually the more you get into the routine of it, the more the writing will become natural and easy. This also goes back to step 3 about creating a routine. This is why it's important when you have a daily power hour or a daily set time of writing, your brain already starts to be in a creative state during that time as you begin to make a habit of this. And so I really challenge you to pick a writing time that you're most effective and most productive. For me, that's early in the morning before my children are awake and before, I can get notifications and get distracted by the day. But for some people, I recognize that maybe it's during lunch after they eat and they're, feeling better. Or maybe it's in the evening you feel more productive. Whenever it is, recognize the time that works for you and start writing. Understand that nobody in the world has ever published their first draft. And there's a reason for it, because the first draft usually sucks. But the more you write, the more you'll notice that your creative juices will get flowing and you'll start to get into a routine and a habit of being able to get your book written. If you're looking for support on this journey, you're ready to get started writing your book, you're like, no more excuses, no more exceptions, then I have great news for you. I have a totally free 5-day book writing challenge where you can meet me and walk through the next 5 days to get started writing your book. If you're ready to get started, use the link below and sign up, and I can't wait to see you inside the challenge. Talk with you later.